I've got this ambition of being a ethical billionaire. The first thing is to be authentic. Why do I have to follow the stereotypes? Why can't I be who I want to be? You can exist in a society and be who you are. So if you've got the dream and you don't think you could do it, find it, let it go and start again, and you'll set yourself free.
Dr. Tru Powell is a multi-award-winning personal branding expert and creative with over 15 years of experience as an entrepreneur, including in live events. He's truly passionate about helping young people and entrepreneurs get more visible and more seen. Tru's professional roll call includes being co-founder of the Aston Performing Arts Academy. He's also co-founder and CEO of the Black Business magazine. And more recently, he is the founder of the Multicultural Inspire Awards. Dr. Tru is going to speak to us about his journey from growing up as one of 7 in inner city Birmingham to being one of the leading experts in personal branding, and also why he's so passionate about equality and what he feels being truly anti-racist means. Welcome to Don't Work Harder, the business show brought to you by Atomic, and I'm your host, Suman Randhawa. This is the show where we teach you how you can take huge leaps in your business, not just by working harder, but by working braver. Tru, hello. Lovely to see you.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute honour.
Oh, thank you. It's ours. And it's always really weird to look into the eyes of someone I've researched so thoroughly. I know I frightened you slightly when I was like, I know everything.
I was like,
yeah, almost. But you know, what's really interesting, and like I honestly was genuinely so excited about getting you in. And I know we haven't met before, which is always, really interesting for me when I'm getting to talk to someone who I've watched on social media. I've watched all of the places they're appearing. And the more I researched your story, I'm like, okay, well, this is clearly the story of a guy who's worked really hard. But hard work alone isn't enough. And I know that from talking to all the entrepreneurs. What is it about you then that has helped you build, yes, your own profile, but also the businesses that you've built? Because it's not one and done. Mm-hmm. So tell me, what is it alongside working harder?
I am a very spiritual and God-fearing person.
Okay.
And I believe what is meant to be for me is for me. And I genuinely believe that there is a greater being who's guiding my footsteps, who's leading the way, who has written my destiny.
Wow.
And I am just being obedient. I am a obedient servant. And when God says do, I will do. You know, if God says you do this business, I will do. You create this platform, I will do. And I'm just being an obedient servant to God's will. And if it was just me, I don't think that I will. Well, I know that I wouldn't have the strength to do what I do, or the skills or the knowledge. But I know the source of my strength, and I know on whose foundation that I stand. So yeah.
That was really powerful. Thank you for sharing that. And how does, like faith and being a good person and being an entrepreneur and making money, how do you marry those two together?
I have these discussions a lot of times, a lot of the time with my friends and peers and people in my circle, because, I've got this ambition of being a ethical billionaire. And the discussions that we all have, and, every single one of my friends are like, and peers, you cannot be an ethical billionaire in today's, it's just nonsensical. Like, you can't be an ethical billionaire. And I'm like, why can't you? And I get why they're saying that. I get, being a billionaire is totally disproportionate and unfair, and there will be a lot of, I guess, inequity in terms of wealth. And I understand that. But I think for me, I don't see money or wealth as a defining factor, or I don't even use it to describe who I am. For me, it's about my morals. It's about my values, what I believe in. that's important to me.
So your story, though, is, personal branding expert. And actually, this for me is going to be so interesting because there's so many strings to your bow. Yet, actually, when I was looking at you on the platforms that you're most prominent, you lead with personal branding expert, which is about allowing people to be more visible. Let's say you could be an ethical billionaire. What would it allow you to be able to do for these people that you want to give them a chance to be more visible and be more seen?
Oh, so much. I think, and I don't even think you have to be an ethical billionaire to do that. I think if you've got a level of wealth, it should be incumbent upon you to want to help solve inequality, and give a leg up to other people who are, I guess, disadvantaged in whatever way that they are disadvantaged. For me, it would always be ethnicity, just because of my story and how I've been discriminated against, and members of my family have been discriminated against because of their race. So that's why I've created a lot of these platforms in order for people to be visible. I think for a long time, media outlets and institutions have seen particularly Black people in a certain light. And I think it's part of my duty, part of my mission, part of my, I guess, core values to showcase Black people in a new light and create a new narrative. And that might be in the form of the media magazine, the Black Business magazine. That might be in the form of showcasing them and platforming them on the awards. That might be a case of making them visible, working with them on their brands, or even working with young people on their self-esteem in the academy.
Right.
And particularly if you're from Birmingham, you would know that Aston is an area that's in the inner city and has a really negative reputation.
Right.
So although the academy has been going for 20 years, and there were a period where we debated whether we should change the name or not, because of that reputation, we were like, well, actually, no, because these are young people, predominantly Black people, from an area that has been, dismissed, stereotyped, disregarded, in every which way. But actually, we're showing that something positive and something good and magnificent is coming out of this area. So when we're in the heart of Selfridges and they're calling Aston Performing Arts Academy to do the entertainment, or in Boring, or we're doing some elaborate gala dinners and awards and they're saying these children are from Aston Performing Arts Academy, I think that helps overturn some of the negative stereotypes that are driven from that area.
Actually, what's quite interesting for me is to understand what is it that has got you so visible? Like, how come you were on my wish list? How did you grow the audience that you've grown? In fact, how did you get to have dinner with Judi Love? How did you get invited to Usher? And I don't necessarily need the specifics, but what is it that you think that you have done that has helped you get visible, that maybe other people might be like, right, okay, that's what I could take away from that?
There's so much to unpack. I think the first thing is to be authentic. And I know we hear that all the time.
Yeah.
It's almost like a buzzword.
It's like, what does it mean?
It means just being yourself, like being yourself online, being yourself when you meet people. And I've always been authentic. I've always been true to myself. And I've never been one to conform. And actually that's worked in my favor because, yes, I am a male and I am a Black male, but I refuse to conform to some of those stereotypes.
Yeah.
So, I could be quite gentle, I could be quite sensitive, and I could kind of break some of those stereotypes, which again, I think people acknowledge. And I also speak up a lot about women and the advocacy of women, and particularly Black women. And again, I think that helps kind of like build my profile or that the cause of being authentic.
So to break that down, so it started with finding platforms where you were sharing your voice.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And is that all, like, did that come first in terms of the branding side? Because obviously you'd set up your business.
Yes. I wouldn't say, I'll say no.
No?
I'll say what came first for the branding side is building credibility and building profile.
Right.
So
okay.
winning awards.
Yeah, so doing the
doing the work, making sure that the work that you are doing is good.
Yeah.
And getting credibility for that.
I was just thinking that as you were speaking, because it's then being known for it and others speaking about it. Have you seen the great work that they're doing?
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, that feels really tangible for me.
Yeah.
So it was doing that first. Then did the social media profile come after that? We're going to take a short pause to hear from one of our sponsors. Sponsors help us make the best show possible. Don't Work Harder is sponsored by Constant Contact, the digital marketing platform built with small business owners in mind. With Constant Contact, you can grow your contacts list, send out more emails, organise social media and events, and simply get more done with their advanced automation tools. It's everything you need to grow your business, advance your automation, and attract more of the right customers all in one place. Visit constantcontact.com to get started. Did the social media profile come after that?
I would say my social media profile has grown significantly in the last, I would say, 5 years.
Okay.
And I would put that down to a multitude of things. So press being one of them. Like I was featured a lot in the press during lockdown, like a lot, and giving my cultural commentary on certain situations. So it helped grow my profile then. There was an app in lockdown called Clubhouse.
Do you know, yesterday I mentioned to someone that I was interviewing you and they said, is he the guy from Clubhouse? Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I was on Clubhouse day and night and grew from a regional Birmingham audience and started to grow a national community.
And what was the voice that you had on Clubhouse? What were you sharing?
Personal branding tips.
Yeah.
And what life is like being a creative entrepreneur. So I started a creative entrepreneur club. And within 3 months, that club grew up to 30,000 people on Clubhouse.
And so how did you monetize that?
So I monetized it through, that's where I started my coaching. So I was almost, I guess, pushed or backed in a corner to say, right, okay, you've got this community, you've got this audience that want to hear from you, that want to buy from you.
Yeah.
Why don't you start doing courses and coaching? So that's when I started to do personal branding coaching and courses.
Brilliant. That makes total sense. Yeah.
And the first course I did, which is probably still online now, very basic course, recorded it on Canva. It was about an hour long, charged $40 because I had an international audience. So $40 for the course. And I think within the first 2 months, it made £10,000. So I was like, oh, okay, this coaching and courses, this might be good. And that was all about getting in the press, how to get into the press. These are my top tips about, writing press releases and how to get in the press. And
well, guess what? I was thinking as I was sat here and you were saying you got a lot of press, I was thinking, I must ask him, what is it that he did to get press?
Yes.
What can you reveal? What can you tell me? Like, what worked for you, do you think? Did you have an agency that was representing you? Were you paying people?
No agency, just me, myself and I. And really, I wrote my own press releases, which back in the day I was manually writing them. Today you can use AI and ChatGPT to help support you with your press releases. And I was on Twitter, and Twitter back then, and kind of it is now, but that was the home of journalists. That's where all the journalists hung out. And I would create conversations with them. I would at them. If they said something, I would say respectfully, I disagree with this, or I agree with this point and they'd be like, oh, that's an interesting take. Would you like to come on BBC News to discuss it? And I'd be like, yeah, okay, cool, no problem. So I was very much very active on social media, particularly on Twitter, because I knew that's where the journalists were. And sometimes my views are, I will say, contrarian to the traditional, I guess, views out there, because I would like to think that I'm a critical thinker, and I would like to think that things could be true at once and not everything has to be either black or white.
Yeah.
So I always typically have a different take on popular culture and a different take on things. And I would often share that take. And then people just started to, I guess, want to know more about my take on things and my opinion. And then there was like, okay, we want to pay you for your opinion. would you want to come on this platform and share? And I'll be like, yeah, fine. Because not only did I get paid for it, but also it helped grow my profile and my brand that I could monetize elsewhere.
Do you know, I think like there are people who are like, how can I grow my audience on, let's say, LinkedIn? How can I get more engagement on my content? And I think you literally just gave us a masterclass there. You're one of 7, so one of 6 boys. Am I right? Am I getting this right?
Yeah.
Did that, like finding your voice and not just agreeing with everyone else, did that come from childhood? And also, really important question, where in the 7 do you come?
Good. So first question, or the last question I answer first.
Yeah.
So I am second to last.
Okay. So pretty much the youngest.
Yeah, pretty much youngest. I've got a twin brother, so we're both the second to last.
The most identical twin I have ever seen in my life.
Right, isn't he? I mean, even though I'm the better looking twin, you know, we are identical. So, and that where this, I guess, resilience or this ability to go against the grain came from a very young age, in the sense actually that all of my friends and brothers and people in the area were very much sport driven. So their whole purpose in life was to play football or to play sport. Whereas for me and my brother, we were creative arts.
And both of you were?
We were singing, dancing, like acting, anything to do with expression and creative arts. That's where our house was, that's where we lived. But that was never seen as cool or accepted amongst the area to where we lived. And we were constantly ridiculed for it. We were constantly called every name under the sun for it. But actually, what that taught us was resilience, because we went after it anyway. We went against the grain. We went against what society told us to do. So my critical thinking started from a very,
I can see that.
very young age. And I just wanted to learn more about how the world worked. So I obviously grew up, done school, college, went to uni, and then I'd done a kind of like I found this perfect course, which was cultural studies, which really challenged my critical thinking. But then it was combined with marketing and media.
Right.
And I thought, these are all the things that I really like and enjoy.
Yeah.
And doing that course opened my eyes to a whole different society and then I really started to engage a lot more in thinking about society and how society worked and how typically I don't fit the norm of society and how I was, I guess, quote unquote, different.
So I get why you, from an early age, were all about that critical thinking and about, I don't have to go in the same direction as everyone else. But having a twin brother and a few of your businesses are co-founded businesses, is there something in that about it's easier and it has in the past felt safer because you're not alone?
Yeah. And also there's nobody who I trust more in this world than him.
Oh.
And, you know, sorry, my wife. Sorry,
Oh, yeah.
You know, I love you too, but you know what it is. And that's because, you know, I've been with him every single day.
Your whole life.
My whole life.
Yeah.
Even since, you know, being in the womb.
Of course.
We've been together side by side our whole entire life. So he's such a trusted person in my life. And the fact that I journeyed a lot of my life with him growing up, you know, having to, you know, fight off racists, having to, you know, be in schools and be in situations and wanting to go against the grain and having that bona fide person with me, that confident, always got my back, and vice versa, made it, I think, 100 times easier. So going into business with him, who I wholeheartedly trust, just made perfect sense.
And so you set up the Aston Performing Arts Academy. Then I saw that you paused the business. Was it in 2023?
Yes.
How did you make a decision? Like, what did you have to consider in order to pause something that clearly like hits here, right?
Yeah. So there's a couple of things. So firstly, me and Pal didn't found the business. We had a third partner called Angie Daniels, And she had the business for a couple of years before we got involved and came on board as a trio directorship.
Right.
However, she stepped down in COVID. So, and I say that to say, because we had conversations with her about quieting it down. But I think for us, it's a passion project.
Okay.
And it was, and if I'm being honest, it was the thing that yielded the least of income. And after COVID, I shut down quite a few businesses. Things were slow, and I needed to invest time and energy into building not just myself back up, but building the businesses that was keeping the roof over my head.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do that whilst investing time and energy into Aston Performing Arts Academy. And when you work with young people, when you work in an organisation that is driven to help and support young people, particularly when it's on a week-to-week basis, it's not just the 4 or 5 hours a week that you're with that young person that you are on job. You are on job every single day. They get into trouble. They might call you. They might be going through stuff at home. Like, it's a constant
Wow.
role.
It becomes like a full-time mentorship.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And that's not to mention the performances and all the other stuff. We were performing everywhere. It was a hard job.
Yeah.
And we had to make a decision, and we had to say it's. And also, one of the biggest factors actually was I was giving more to the young people at Aston Performing Arts Academy than time would allow to give to my own kids. And
interesting.
It was a decision that I need to start pouring into my own children. They're at these formative years of just starting senior school, and I'm not giving them the time that they deserve because I'm pouring into other people's children. And there's not enough of me to go around. So sadly, the decision was to close the doors, and to close the doors primarily for that week-to-week sessions.
Yeah.
To free up some time that we can invest in other things, i.e. my business and also my family.
So what questions would you say you and, at that time it would have been your brother, asked yourselves in order to make that decision? What did you have to consider, and what did you do?
So many. So the first one was the yield, like what were we bringing in from this business?
Mm-hmm.
And was the output worth the input? So the hours that we were putting in, was that worth the financially, was that worth the output? So that was one of them. The second was time.
Right.
How much time do we have, in respective as to how much money it's giving us, the time away from our family and stuff? Can we quantify that?
Yeah.
So that was a second factor. The third factor was the mental capacity. It's quite draining. It's quite draining's the wrong word. It's quite taxing to your mental well-being when you're constantly dealing with young people who have trauma or who have got through traumatic situations, or or you're being called constantly. Like, it's quite a tall order. So that was another factor. And the other factor was we served. This was a job that God ordained us to do, and we were obedient, and we were a servant to the Lord, and we said, yes, we would do this. And we had done it for 18 years, since 2008, I think we got involved. So we've done it for quite a long time. And actually, it was a point where we were like, we've done our time, and for the most part, it was voluntary work. So all those factors kind of like led us to the decision that actually it's the right time to start being selfish and start thinking about us.
So how do you balance that with, is guilt the right word?
Yeah, it is. And believe me, we felt guilty. Let me speak for myself. I felt very guilty I felt like I abandoned ship. And, let me be very clear. I was the one that was driving the brake. my brother didn't really want to stop. He's a deputy head teacher, so his life is children.
I should say I
and
know.
young people. But for me, I was driving that, and when when the time is right.
Yeah.
And I just knew that the time was right for us to pause and for me to explore different things.
And it's listening to the voice, isn't it? It's like, obviously, you talk so much here about your faith, but actually having faith or having a greater power is one thing, but you've got to be able to tune in to listen to what those messages are. So is that business paused?
It's paused. It's and I would like to say it is active. So we bring it back when we need to. We've got a performance that, like, they're performing at the Inspire Awards and they're performing at another awards.
Oh, so you'll bring them out.
So we bring them out as and when. And our WhatsApp groups are still going. We're still checking from time to time with the young people.
Oh, lovely.
So it is still going, but it's not done in the way that we was doing it before. So before it was every single week, Monday and Wednesday, we would all get together.
Right.
But that is not done in that way. So up into the lead up now, we're rehearsing every week for, certain events that we've got coming up. But it's not done. It's not done every single week of the year.
You've got the Multicultural Inspire events, which is in November.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it will be actually fairly soon after this episode comes out, which is really exciting. So what I'd love to know is, how did you identify that there was an opportunity for you to create these awards? What was the gap that you saw?
I think there was a few things. So, firstly, I've been in events for a long time. So that was my first business as an event management agency, outside of the academy. So my first business going into full-time business entrepreneurship was an event management agency. And part of that event management agency, I picked up an event, another awards company, who I became a shareholder and owner and director in.
Right.
And I think it was from there that I was actually, I wanted to build on what I had already started.
Yeah.
In the previous business. And for context, the previous business, it all went wrong and we had court proceedings and so forth.
Okay.
So I don't want to mention the name, but if you do your research, you'll see it.
But if I think about seasons that have tested you in business, sounds like, was that your last big period?
That was a period that I'm, I guess, just getting over now.
It wasn't that long ago, right?
It was horrific. It was, if I was to say was a period in business that almost took me out, I would say it was that. And it's not because I went to court. It's not because I was, I guess, in litigation with somebody who I considered to be family, although there wasn't, and somebody who I trusted. It was because of that relationship, and it was because of that trust, and it was because of me thinking, I can't believe that somebody who you gave your trust to and that you worked with for so long, and ultimately that you built a business up from the ground, will do such a horrid and just such a thing that was just not called for.
And what do you think, because you learned from that has changed the way you will do business going forward?
Understanding that not every project or business needs a co-founder.
Okay.
Or needs somebody.
How do you know?
You don't. But it was before, I would always want to do something with somebody. So historically, when I look at myself and all my businesses, I've started them with somebody. So the events business, I started with a lady called Daniela Genus, who's incredible. She left to have a baby and I continued it.
Right.
So the Candy Girl business, I started with my sister, although I was a silent partner. So historically, all the projects that I got involved in, all the business that I started, I had never started on my own.
It's interesting.
The coaching business. But I worked closely with Justice, and then with the magazine, I started with Justice. So it was almost like I've never started anything on my own. And actually I was like, this is something that I can do on my own. So why would I start it with somebody?
What are you having to do differently when it is just you in charge versus when there was co-founders?
So there's a couple of things. So I guess with this specific business, with the other business, I don't feel like there's any difference because I was doing 99.9% of the work in the other business, hence why I wanted to leave and do something on my own. But I guess it's more about understanding people and really building community. I think that's a major difference to before, and understanding, and really leveraging and leaning towards people's skills and expertise, and not trying to do everything on my own. That's a theme that really comes through with when people have built and scaled their businesses, is believing that actually somebody else might be better off at doing. So how many people have you got supporting you building this awards? Like employees, freelancers, like what's the model here? So we have 2 part-time team members.
Okay.
Who
so you say we?
Bank. Yeah, so I say
have
we.
Have you got directors then?
Yeah, so typically my brother, of course, is the head of entertainment.
I love it.
And he does sorts of all the entertainment.
The same brother, the twin?
The same brother.
Okay, amazing.
And the creative vision of the awards.
Yeah.
Justice, who you may or may not know, is my co-founder in the magazine. I don't actually
know. Okay, right.
But she is the head of VIPs. So she looks after all the celebrities and the VIPs and everyone. And then I've got a lady called Emma who runs a event management company called All in All Events, who I've known for such a long time.
Amazing.
So she looks after all the operations.
And they're all clearly experts in that stream that they look after.
Yeah.
And if 2023, beginning of 2024 was the season that tested you, what's this season then?
Joy.
Oh, amazing.
Joy, happiness, and being able to let go and being able to be free and being able to heal in my own time.
Yeah.
And being graceful to myself and understanding that I am human.
Yeah.
And just healing and letting go and joy and happiness and peace. And that's where I am in life.
And how has that changed your view of success for you as as an entrepreneur?
I think pre-2024, the trajectory that I was on was insane. Like I was going up and up and up and up and up.
Is this pre-24 you said? Yeah.
2024 really tested that.
There was a lot of costs involved, weren't there?
Lots of costs.
Yeah.
Just if you in perspective, I think 2024 collectively, I probably lost maybe £130,000, not just in court fees and settlements and all of that stuff, but my mindset wasn't where I needed it to be.
Sure.
So I stopped coaching and speaking and doing the thing. So I lost money there. Part of the settlement was that I wouldn't do another event that's close to the previous event.
Yeah.
So I didn't do anything in 2024.
Yeah.
So typically that would bring in some money, but I didn't do that. And there was a little bit of reputational damage, if I'm being honest, because of the public feud. So there was, I guess, money that was lost there. So collectively, I calculated it would have been about £120,000. But more importantly, I think, and I'm going to use this word really loosely, but I think I was, I guess, humbled in a way. It really showed me my mortality. Before that, I would have said, do you worse, I don't care. I am, not that I'm untouchable, but
Your belief and your faith was so strong,
like,
right?
you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Now I'm more, okay, this can be really dangerous. Let me see if we can resolve and talk things through. But before I was like, do your worst. Like, I'm not interested. So I think it really, I guess it did humble me in a way and show me that I was actually human.
Which goes full circle back to equality for everyone, right?
Yeah.
Because that doesn't sound like equality.
Yeah.
So if the trajectory before all of that season happened was, upwards and upwards, and actually humility is a gift, an expensive gift, but it's a gift for all of us.
Yeah.
So what is the ambition for the awards and for the businesses, because I know there'll be businesses going forwards?
Yeah. So in 2026, we'll be franchising the model.
Okay.
So what that looks like is that rather than there being one Multicultural Inspire Awards, there be several dozens, if not hundreds, if not thousands, worldwide Inspire Awards. And the point or the concept of the Inspire Awards franchise is that somebody can take the model and the format of the Inspire Awards and use it and tailor it and take the brand and use it and tailor it for their sectors. So you can have the Podcast Inspire Awards where you're recognising inspirational people in the podcast industry, or the Media Inspire Awards, or the Law Inspire Awards, or, the Medicine Inspire Awards, Teachers Inspire Awards. So there's a few Inspire Awards that would happen in 2026.
Incredible.
That would never, ever have happened if I didn't stop last year, if I wasn't still. And, I say that to say part of my healing was going away, was putting down social media, putting down my phones and going away for a weekend and fasting and praying. And then I came back from a weekend. It was a spa weekend, just me. My wife booked it. And I spoke to my mentor, who at the time was a guy called Doug Wright. He still is my mentor. But Doug Wright was the owner. He recently just sold 28 McDonald's franchises.
Interesting.
And when I was speaking to him, 28, one of the most successful franchisors in the UK. When I spoke to him, and I was like, I can't do these awards, but I've got people asking me to support them with awards, but I can't touch it until 2025. He said, oh, Tru, it sounds like you need to do a franchise. But he said it very jokingly.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? Like, go back. Because at that point, my ears and heart was open because I asked God to tell me why he's doing this to me.
Yeah.
So I had to listen. And he said, it sounds like you need to do a franchise. So we started to flesh it out. We had a few meetings, put some meat on the bones, and we came up with the Inspire franchise, and we sold 3. So, next year, there'll be 3 Inspire Awards alongside the Multicultural Inspire Awards.
Before we start wrapping up, thank you so much, Tru, for all you shared. One thing I wanted to ask you is, your family is clearly such a big part of who you are, and even through your content, you will regularly share your children or your wife. How have you built a model of your business right now that allows you to be present and still grow? Can
I be honest?
Yes, please.
I don't believe I am present.
Okay.
Or not, or present enough.
Okay.
And it still kills me to this day. I'm still a work in progress.
Yeah.
I am not by any means a perfect present dad, but then I also understand, and he understands, that actually I need to do this to keep the roof over our head.
Absolutely.
I need to work. I need to go out. I need to socialize. I need to build the brand. I need to be out there. So there's a balance. But where I fall short, my wife picks up. So shout out to Tara. She's an amazing mother, and she would take him to football trials, and she would do all the things that I can't do because I'm not there. So we're a good team.
Yeah. And again, full circle back to growing up, you know, I know it was your mum and you guys and actually pulling together to make it work. So, I mean, truly inspiring. I've got a penultimate question before we kind of do our closing remarks, which is I'm going to do 60 seconds on the clock. And you've been pretty amazing at every question. Yeah, grab some water. The one thing that really comes across from you is like I don't know, like a greater power, a resilience. So the question that I specifically have for you is to achieve what you've achieved, even when there's been knockdowns and you've had to get back up, is clearly a testament to you, the way you were built. I think there's got to be some DNA in there. So 60 seconds isn't a lot of time to answer this question, but for someone that dreams of achieving but doesn't feel like they have got the resilience or the capacity that you have, what would you say that they could do if you were just going to give 60 seconds of advice? Where do they start? They've got your dreams, but they don't think they've got the capacity.
60 seconds. That's
I know,
tough.
right?
Ooh. Find it. So if you've got the dream and you don't think you could do it, find it. And you can find that everywhere and anywhere. You know, read books, you know, leaders are readers. Listen to podcasts, listen to people who have done it, read on people, like get the know-how. All the information is out there. We live in a society of information, especially now that AI is here. So if you don't feel that you've got the skills like anywhere else, develop them and go and find them and use information to do that.
Beautiful. Thank you. And you did that in well under 60 seconds. So that was powerful. Right. Yay. Closing questions. And I think you're going to like this one.
Okay.
We have a little tradition that I have brought back here. I took it away, but due to public opinion, I have brought it back.
Good.
That is, can you tell me, what are you reading, watching, and listening to right now?
Oh, so I am reading Denise Lewis's book, actually. Fantastic book. I can't actually remember the name of it. I seen her a few weeks ago and she gave it to me to read, and I've started it. It's a fantastic book. So I'm reading that.
Is it like an autobiography?
Autobiography.
Okay, fantastic.
Adaptable, it's called.
Excellent.
It just came to me.
Yeah.
And it's about adapting to change and to adversity and all the things that have come your way. And yeah, it's a good book. So I'm reading that.
Lovely.
I'm listening to a podcast. I don't think I could say the name on here. But it's a podcast from a lady called Kelechi Okafor.
Okay.
She's a social commentator as well as many other things, entrepreneur, owns Dance Pole Studio, building homes in Africa and all sorts of things. An incredible mind.
Okay.
And she, I guess it's a new podcast, and she reads front pages of newspapers and gives her critical opinion. And anybody that knows Kelechi knows that she has a incredible mind and incredible outlook on how to view and see things. So it's really nice to listen to her dissect and give her opinions on some of the front pages of British newspapers. And then the last one was, what am I
listening to?
India Irie.
Still
to this day.
Okay.
She's just
with good reason.
Yeah, with good reason. She has a incredible body of work called the Sacred Place, or Medicine rather. So it's a songversation, and it provides kind of like healing. And yeah, she's an incredible artist. But Mariah Carey's out tomorrow, so I will be listening to that.
Okay, fantastic. Amazing. Thank you, Tru, so much for all you've shared.
Thank you.
Wow, I feel like that was really deep, talking about how you can build up a business. Dr. Tru Powell there talking about his trajectory for his business, prior to 2023 was literally on the rise, up and up and up, and how when adversity hits you, where do you have to dig deep to pull yourself back out of it? And, faith is clearly a huge part of what has driven him, and how has he used that to help him build a business that he feels proud of, that he feels is giving up, and that ethically allows him to feel like his conscience feels really comfortable with what he's doing and how he is doing it. But yeah, I think every so often we need episodes like this, because it's really important not just to know what happens when you're on the rise, but what happens when you fall and when you have to get back up. So yeah, a true honor to have Dr. Tru Powell on today, and I think a real story of the power of resilience and faith. Thanks so much for listening to Don't Work Harder. If you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe and share. This show has been brought to you by Atomic, the home of epic business growth. Head to our website at atomic.site to hear more about our business programs and epic events.